Let's call this test articles. Write 5 test articles about Harry Potter. And let's see if we can get lucky enough to actually get something that we can enable and see in the browser. Okay, so we got files. Aha, and here we go. The Boy Who Lived, the Triwizard Tournament, the Battle of Hogwarts. So nice, so nice. An introduction to Harry Potter surviving Voldemort's attack. Okay, we're in business. Let's go. Hey y'all, it's Jay. Today I'm excited to show you a new tool that I've been working on this week. This tool uses AI models to generate full module code for Drupal. The concept I'm going for here is pretty simple. We have code generation tools like Just Generate for boilerplate code. Wouldn't it be nice to leverage AI to generate a full unit of code like a Drupal module? So that's exactly what this tool does with very little configuration required. The module supplies a default prompt template that you can configure or leave as is. Of course, you will need API keys for any of the modules you want to use. Some of them are free or cheap to use. After it's configured, you just run the drush command and it'll ask you a few questions. We'll get to that part in a minute. It's actually pretty easy to integrate models with Drush because most of the APIs are pretty similar. I'll show you a code example here in a bit. So far, I have 4 models supported: Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude 3, and Llama 3. Llama 3 does assume that you're running it locally using Llama. The caveat with Llama 3 is that most home laptops can only run the 8B version, so that's 8 billion parameters, and that's not nearly as smart, which means that it's going to get tripped up more than the others. If you haven't heard about Llama, it's a tool that makes it super easy to run models locally, so you can go to this website to check it out, and I'll show you what it looks like in a little bit. Next, let's look at how you configure this module. This is the configuration screen where you add in your API keys and where you can modify the default prompt template that we're using to get code. Note a couple things here. We have 2 placeholder tokens for the module name and module instructions, which both will be supplied by the user at the command line. The other piece that is important is that we're asking the models to return the data in structured XML. Under the hood, the way this module works is actually pretty simple. We just pass a prompt to a model, parse the XML to get the file names and content suggested, and then we write those files to the module directory. Next, let's briefly glance at the code so that you can get an idea what's happening at the code level. I have several files in this module, but again, it's not complicated. If you look at the OpenAI handshake, what you're going to see is that we're just passing the prompt to the API endpoint, and then in the response, we're grabbing the XML that it returns, which we're going to use to write the module files as we've discussed. Now, right now, we're only supplying one user input, but of course, with chat, you have the option to keep track of your conversation with this model. The models do not remember anything you have sent, so each time you add a new prompt, you have to send the entire history of your conversation. Now, I've set up the module to keep track of the conversation in memory, but I'm not utilizing this capability just yet. More on that later. Now let's look at the command line inputs. Again, it's easy. We select the model, we give it a module name, and then we give it some instructions on what we want the module to do. Then after that, you get the option to enable the module. Okay, first up, we are going to try Chat GPT. Enter name of the module. We'll just do the default contact form. What would you like this module to do? This is going to take a minute, so be patient. Okay, it's done. Let's go ahead and take a risk, try to enable it. Wah. Didn't work. Okay, let's take a look at the code. Now, a lot of times it will actually be good enough to enable, but let's see what went wrong here. Okay, we got an info file. Got our little help. Unable to install. Is missing its dependency module core. Okay, let's just take that off. Okay, let's just try to enable this now. Okay, and it enabled. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't have a route, and so we won't be able to see this form. So, you know, not the worst thing. Okay, on to Gemini. Same module, same instructions, and we wait. Ah, this is the first one that enables on the first time. Nice. Okay, let's take a look at the code. That looks okay. Oh, we got a little mail thing here. Okay, we got this for some reason. Got help. You know, got some stuff. But unfortunately, we don't have a menu route or anything, so we actually won't be able to look at it. Okay, next up, we're going to try Claude 3. Same information. Okay, we got some files. Let's try to enable it. Oh man, didn't work. Okay. Let's take a look at the code for a minute. Okay, we got our info file, got our module, and it's looking okay. We have some errors here. Not sure exactly what that means. Maybe the info file needs a YAML extension or something. Nope. It's got it. Probably something wrong in here. I'm not going to troubleshoot it because it's, even if we got it to enable, we don't have a route for this, so we're not going to see it anyways, but at least they got some of it working. Okay, now we are going to try Llama 3, so let me go ahead and pull this up. Now before I select it, I need to make sure Llama is running, so we're going to say Llama run the default, which is 8B. Now, I've already got this installed. It's super easy to run. You can run this on Windows, Linux, or Mac. I'm running it on a Mac right now. So it's ready to go. You can say hello. And so you can just interact with it at the command line, but you can also use it as an API. And so that's what our module is doing. Let's go ahead and select Llama. We're going to try to create the exact same module. I have found that this one is a little bit slower on my laptop, so you might experience the same thing. Okay, and so this created some files. Let's try to enable it. Of course, that didn't work. Let's look at the code. That's weird. This looks kind of okay. I don't know. This is kind of a mess. All of this is a mess. So again, this is what you're going to get with Llama. All right, so since we've had some trouble, let's try to give this one more shot. We're going to use Chat GPT 4, which is probably our best model. Let's call this test articles. Write 5 test articles about Harry Potter. And let's see if we can get lucky enough to actually get something that we can enable and see in the browser. Okay, so we got files. That's sad, it didn't enable. Once again, let's take a look. This might be throwing it off. Let's try to enable it. Okay, so it enabled. So we had to do that small fix. Let's try to actually pull this up in the browser. Aha, and here we go. The Boy Who Lived, the Triwizard Tournament, the Battle of Hogwarts. So nice, so nice. An introduction to Harry Potter surviving Voldemort's attack. Okay, we're in business. Let's go. So there are several things I would like to do with this project, but the main thing I want to do next is support multiple round trips to the same model. This is important because, as you probably know, sometimes the model hits a token limit before it can send you the full response back. I would like it to be smart enough to request more of the response if the first one is incomplete. Otherwise, of course, you're going to have broken code. The other related idea is to give feedback and allow it to take a second crack at creating the module. Maybe you could just go into a loop until it creates something useful. Now for final thoughts. Note, this is of course an experimental tool. It's unlikely that you're going to get production ready code, but also remember these models are getting more powerful by the day. I would also recommend testing your module prompt in Chat GPT and other chat clients first to see how good you can get the response before you actually start testing your prompts using the Drush command. Of course, as always, I make all my code publicly available. Links are below in the comments. I've also written a summary of this on medium.com, so feel free to check that out as well. Feedback is more than welcome. Hope you have fun with this. I'll see you next time.